Well, today is an exciting day because here I have the new Huawei P30 Pro and we're going to unbox it. So what we've got here, it's not a brand new shrink-wrapped phone, but we've got a very early sample from Huawei and we're going to unbox it, show you the phone, and then we'll quickly compare it with the P30, which I have here, and explain the differences between the two phones. So if I remove this lid here, inside here we have got the Hero colour in Breathing Crystal, and this is like a lovely gradient finish which has got orangey yellow sort of colour, but when you look at it, it's more of a blue, like a kind of a light morning sort of sunrisey type colour. So on the back, of course, first of all, you can see we've got the triple camera array, but this is the version with 4 cameras. There's actually a 4th camera here, and a little bit later I'll explain exactly what those are for. Okay, so let's have a look at what we've got in the box. So first of all, as you get with all Huawei P-series phones, and certainly the P30 Pro, you've got your silicon case. Now this, I really like the fact that they include this because it means that you can protect your phone the second that it comes out of the box. And because it's a nice clear colour, that means that it won't kind of hide away that lovely finish that you've just chosen. So you've got the TPU case. You've also got your SIM tray removal tool. You've got your USB cable. Now this comes with a USB Type-C to a standard USB Type-A connector. So you can use it with the charger, and you can use it, of course, you can plug it into your PC, even if it doesn't have a USB-C connector. And with the charger, you've got your standard Huawei Supercharge, except not standard because this comes with the 40-watt supercharger, which is the same speed that you get with the Mate 20 Pro, so it means you're going to be able to charge up your P30 Pro exceptionally fast. This one is, of course, the European adapter, but in the UK models will, of course, come with a proper UK 3-pin plug. And finally, we've got the Type-C headphones. Now with the P30 you get normal headphones with a standard 3.5mm jack, whereas with the P30 Pro you can just about see in there the USB-C connector. Let's pop all those back in. You'll see that we've got an even bigger screen than before. We've got 6.5-inch screen. If I just start going through the setup process, that will speed things along a little bit. But essentially, you can see that it's a very big screen. You've only got a tiny little dewdrop notch in the top, and that's just for the selfie camera, which has been upgraded from 24 megapixels on the old phone to 32 megapixels on the new one. Now, if I connect to our Wi-Fi, I can start the Google process. So while this is setting up, I'll give you a bit more on the new features. This phone is waterproof, of course, as you'd expect from the Pro version. And you've got a single speaker on the bottom with a USB-C connector, and then you've got the SIM tray next to it. Now there's no headphone jack. That certainly hasn't returned on this model. And on the top, there's no little earpiece speaker as you might expect to find. But what Huawei's actually done is they've put in a magnetic levitation speaker, which actually vibrates the screen itself and turns the screen into a speaker, so that when you're on a call, you can hear it, you can hear the other person speaking, but it means that nobody else will be able to hear what they're saying. So Huawei's actually selling that as a benefit. We haven't, unfortunately, been able to give that a test, so we haven't figured out whether that works well or not, but as soon as we can, we will test that out. Okay, so we're here at the home screen, so it's fully set up. One of the things which I didn't mention is that there is an in-screen fingerprint reader in this, so there's no fingerprint scanner on the back. There's no fingerprint scanner below the screen as you used to have. The fingerprint scanner is like the Mate 20 Pro. It's an optical scanner which is below the screen, and Huawei says that that is improved, so it is a more reliable detection, and it's also faster as well. So what is the differences between this phone and the P30? So the P30 Pro is the more expensive flagship, and the P30 is the standard phone, which is a little bit cheaper. So From the back, you can see that the cameras are a little bit different. So you've got a triple camera setup on the P30 and you've got a quad camera setup on the P30 Pro. So to explain the differences, it's you've got the main camera is a 40 megapixel camera on both phones, and there's a very slightly different lens. You've got an f1.6 aperture on the P30 Pro and you've got an f1.8 on the P30. They both use a new super spectrum sensor, which actually has a, rather than having a usual RGB array, Huawei's gone for something a bit different and gone for red, yellow and blue, and says that that improves light capture and means that you get a much better picture at the end of it. Now, unfortunately, again, we've not been able to fully test that out and see whether there's a big difference between like the P20 Pro's RGB sensor and the P30 Pro's new RYB sensor, but again, when we bring you our full review, we'll tell you what a difference it makes. So at the top, you have the 20 megapixel camera on both phones, and this is the ultra wide camera. So you've got standard view, you've got ultra wide view, and then on the P30 you have a 3x telephoto zoom, but on the P30 Pro you've now got this periscope lens, which is a 5 times optical zoom, and when you combine that with the 40 megapixel lens, that can be used to get a 10 times lossless zoom, and we've had a go with this and it is really impressive. It means you can get really close to objects, which previously on a phone you'd have to use digital zoom and the results aren't very good. They're a bit grainy, whereas with this phone you can get some pretty surprisingly good results. And in our hands-on review of this, you can actually have a look at some of those photos that we've taken. You'll notice that there's a fourth camera on the P30 Pro. This is the quad camera. It's not a camera that you can use to take pictures. What it does, in conjunction with a flood illuminator, which is above it in this little bit just below the flash, and what that does is just it improves the depth detection so that you can get much better sort of depth of field effects in portrait photos, so that you can get essentially a more realistic looking portrait photo that's a lot closer to what you'll get out of a DSLR. Now, there's a few other differences between these two. Obviously, one of them being that the P30 Pro has a bigger screen. So this has got a 6.5 inch screen, this has got a 6.1 inch screen, but now they're both OLED. They both have the same resolution, which is Full HD+, and they've both got an integrated fingerprint scanner into the screen. So really, the only difference is the size. Now, the P30 Pro has wireless charging, which the P30 doesn't, and the P30 Pro also offers that reverse wireless charging that we first saw on the Mate 20 Pro. So you can actually charge another wireless phone on the back of this one if it's running low on power. You can see on the end, if I didn't mention this already, that you've got a headphone jack, where on the P30 Pro the SIM tray is. Now that means that you can connect your normal wired headphones, and you've got your SIM tray on the side of this one. It's actually rated to IP53, so you can't immerse it in water, whereas with the P30 Pro you can. So in summary, we've got the P30, which is the cheaper phone with a smaller screen. It's not waterproof, or it's not as waterproof as the more expensive one. You've got a headphone jack. And on the more expensive P30 Pro, you've got the 5 times zoom with the 10 times lossless, so it's really great for photography. You've got wireless charging, wireless reverse charging, but no headphone jack, and obviously this is more expensive. So if you prefer a smaller phone and you won't miss the goodies you get on the more expensive P30 Pro, then that's a good choice. But ultimately, these are both great phones, and we'll bring you full reviews of them soon.